It's the chug yard. Where it cuts. Tribes always scavenging for scrap, and the yard has plenty to go around. But they should have stuck to looting instead of playing around with sprockets. Bomper Bonker's busy ram-banging the door. This is your chance. Let's see. This box once tailed a chugger-chugger. Now it's just off track. Will you with a hunter or the prey tonight? Yes, you can do anything. The sky's the limit. Now, let's take this back to Earth. Wow, you really took that all the way down to the end, in flames. This is all about you. Whether you succeed or fail, it's on you. Ooh-wee, that's biohazard. You can mutate even more now. The spent nuclear fuel that Toxanol dumped in the surf had detrimental effects on the marine habitats, while the overflowing landfills contaminated the groundwater. Combined, this sent their world hurtling on an inevitable road to ruin. I need to brush up on my Wando, but I have a feeling he believes it was you that caused the bang at the yard. Oh, and he says he knows you. You used to call him Gizmo. He gave you the oil-greased hands when he taught you how to upcycle. Gizmo remembers you as a nice kidling, and he can still sense the warmth of your good heart. But Gizmo says how you experience a memory can be different. You know the story, but sometimes the truth it brings is personal. He hopes you remember that one time he taught you to upcycle, and hopes you've had some use for it over the years. He understands history made Lupa Lupin a big part of your past, your present, and soon, your future. You still believe there's some good in everyone. You still have hope for tomorrow. He says you should know that what's meant to be will always find a way, but history shouldn't consume you. Gizmo encourages that. You should forgive, but never forget. It'll provide some comfort to your soul and keep the memory of lost loved ones in your heart.
Fan that flame!
Beat out that spark before it starts.
It was so young, so fragile. It had so much to give.
Better to take it down now while you still can.
Fire catches. Eventually.
Hard to believe the world is actually going to survive. Just seemed impossible till now. Grateful to you for coming back and doing your best to change things. You were the only chance they had. Wonders if you liked working with the Myriad. They always seemed so centered and so seeking. But that's not important now. Gizmo says it's taken a long time to bring the past up to the present, and where you go from here is up to you. You need to set the past aside, at least for now. He can't leave the underyard as he has no protection against the vacuum in the dead zone, so you need to salvage scrap to upcycle the Mekton, starting with the old crate outside. You should return when you've retrieved the scrap. There's no time to waste if you want to make the Mekton strong enough to fight the Jumbo Puff. It's the part of the land that suffered most from the apocalypse. It's deprived of oxygen, making it next to impossible for anything but creatures that were most contorted by the contamination. The dark's good for sneaking up on things. Gizmo wants to help if he can. Wouldn't be surprised if you met again. Looks like the switches need to be turned to match so enough charge can flow through the conductors. Bristles like the hair of one electrified. You need to line up the switches so they match. Good. That's enough electric current to initiate the actuators and activate the framework. We're all heroes of our own stories, or so we hope. Look at that, right in the chug yard. Follow the rails and you'll find all sorts of little treasures scattered all over the place. Who do you think? You're not the first wanderer in these parts. Good work finding that track. They can teach you so much about the world. Keep looking for more. Don't trip over what you can't see. It's Peekaboo Park. Young ones love this sort of place. Took care of it. You always find good use for things like that. That's a Myriad tribe outpost. Good hit. Punched up. You never know if there's anything under a beach, do you? That there's Subnautica Station. Goop flounders around in there. Says you used to keep to yourself, but now at least you act.
But I can realize.
Says you should take care. Lots of notices on the board for things that made sense in the days when the surf was a lot cleaner. Interesting to see what they cared about here. Wonder if any of it matters now. In the old days, this was a port for boats that went under the surf. They helped clog the surf into goo. Toxanol didn't do it on purpose, I don't think. Their machines made a mess, though, and they never cleaned up after themselves. You should be able to find a track here. Just need to keep your eyes open. Embrace the day. Let's see. Says it's good to see you again. He's Goop. You might remember him from the old days when he tried to teach you how to swim. Goop says you were always so righteous as a child, and he can still feel it, even at a distance. Goop says memories fade surprisingly fast. We are all pieces of what we remember. It's only together we can remember the story as it was. He knows he's easy to remember. There's no one out there as cuckoo as him. He's one of a kind. He understands you've returned to face Lupa Lupin. That's the destiny you've been carrying within yourself all these years. He says that the catastrophe back then didn't vanquish the good in you. It's still there, as bright as when you were a child. Now the time has come for you to remember and act. Your life. He thinks that's the right thing to do. It's only when you have forgiven that you'll find peace.
Light instantly vanishes dark.
How much light do you really need?
All the light, all of it!
I mean, you could leave a little space for the dark.
All the light.
Can hardly believe the world is going to make it. Wonders what that's going to do to the goo. Thanks you for doing everything you could to de-goop the surf. Thinks the Myriad made a good match with you. You're both like sunshine on the surf. But hey, back to the goo. Knows yesterday is already gone. It's what you do today and tomorrow that'll move you forward. You need to set the past aside, at least for now. He can't leave the Subnautica station, as the pollution has worn down the insulation of his suit, so you must salvage enough scrap to fix up his goo glide, starting with the old wreck box outside. You should return when you've retrieved the scrap. There's no time to waste if you want to make the goo glide strong enough to fight the Porky Puff. Out of Date told him the undersurf was the epicenter of the contamination. This was where it struck hardest and inflicted the biggest change to the ecosystem. The tribes need someone to unite them. Moving up in the world. The day is wasting. Time to get to it. Your fingers are starting to wrinkle. Fine time to be outside. Toxanol's offshore drilling caused oily matter to spread with the rain and contaminate both the groundwater and open surf. The long-lasting effect this had on the evolution of wildlife was, As we know now, the only reason we came to exist. There's a lot on the line here. You need to line up the switches so they match. Good. That's enough electric current to initiate the actuators and activate the framework. He's got the goo glide functional. You'll have a pull hook and a salvage net, but no armor, and an engine strong enough to break through the thick goo further up. There are lots of valuables left behind on the surf floor that the salvage net will enable you to haul. You just need to find the right spots. Goop says Gizmo's devised a cannon for the goo glide, but instead of bullets, it flips quacks. Squeaky distractions for the triple attentive porky puff, which will give you time to get yourself in position. The best way to find quacks is to talk to Gulp. He has the bearings of the surfipelago and knows where the quacks like to float. This means you'll have the privilege of visiting Gulp in the Sinky Dink. He'll be able to give you directions to where you'll find quacks. He only knows what's visible to the naked eye. Gulp is not much of a babbler and mostly keeps to himself and his drink. Smart play there. This thing spits goo faster than it swallows it. Get off and slow down a bit. Hey, you found the track, even around all this goopy goo. Nothing escapes your googly eye. The surf here looked cleaner when that track was made. It wasn't easy to peer through the surf, but there are iBox tapes on record that shows they knew what kind of mutated creatures their contamination had created. Glad you had the patience to learn more about how the surf got gooed. There's short of breath and death to this zone. Better take care. He who half breathes, half lives. That's the leftover you're looking for. You already missed the sky, don't you? Too tight, and the rope tips. Ooh, a biohazard like that can make you real sick. Conserve your wind. He says that's enough to get the Mekton functional. You'll have an engine, a fuel soaker, a gun and a gathering net, but no armor, nor enough oxygen supply. Something he devised to salvage valuables from the ground. There are usually spots hidden beneath puddles of oily goo where you can use the net. He's been working on another project for the Mekton, a cannon, but it needs ammunition, and by that he means the scripts. He says if they're trained right, they'll turn into a distraction for the jumbo puff. The best way to find scripts is to go talk to Moog. He knows the ins and outs of every breathing thing left alive after the apocalypse. Unfortunately, this means you'll have to venture farther out into the dead zone than Moog's camp on the steep depot. Once you find Moog, he'll be able to give you directions to where you'll find scripts. Gizmo thinks he's a little peculiar, but very knowledgeable. He has the ins and outs of all monster and creature whereabouts. The deeper the night, the darker it gets. The grease monkey's mekton is built sturdy, just like himself. Can you imagine how this place used to look before the dead oil flood? Might want to hold your breath before you head any further. You're about to witness the breathtaking vistas of what's known as the Dead Zone. Imagine that. You could just go to a place like this to get a proper meal back in the old world. Finished him off. Ooh. Can't rely on technology all the time. Keep filling your air holes. Right between the eyes. That's an improvement. Reached critical skronkiness. That's the Mekton with the most. There's a place and time for everything, but for that city scenario, it's already come and gone. Ready to roll? The day is calling. Time to do it on your own. Bang Shelter 7B is still there, open and ready to shelter. Skronky Stomper. Pace yourself. These steel legs were made for walking. Imagine that. You might never want to leave the Mekton behind. Let's see. Brick-bracks like this were symbols for the growth of the old world. % done. Punch the ticket. End it. On the ropes. The world is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. That ain't bad. Looks snug. Seems like a peculiar item. Those look sharp on you. That go grab the bar and start squeezing those muscles. You snap that off, feeling pumped up.